Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into the analysis from a viral video that really tries to get under the hood of how a political leader's public image gets built. We're going to explore the source material's take on the stories used to shape how people think and to inspire this incredible, almost religious-like devotion.
So, a statement like that's really at the heart of the analysis we're digging into. The source video asks a pretty basic question. How does someone cultivate that level of adoration? We're going to walk through the video's deconstruction of what it calls political brand building, something that aims for exactly this kind of powerful loyalty.
And right at the start, this is the central paradox the source video puts on the table. It tells the story of Mongol Vajpayee, a party worker who, despite his own tough living conditions and even with his requests for basic things going unanswered, is still a diehard devotee of the leader. This story really sets the stage for the whole analysis.
Okay, let's get into it. The very first pillar of this public image that the analysis tries to dismantle is that famous story of humble beginnings. You've probably heard this story, right? The narrative of a young boy selling tea on trains. It's been an absolute cornerstone of his political persona. The source really emphasizes how this story creates an image of a leader who gets the struggles of the average person because, well, he's lived them. Now, what's so interesting here is the direct contrast the video makes. It brings in the biographer Nilanjan Mukhopadhyay, who's quoted saying that these claims of deep poverty are, in his words, grossly exaggerated. The argument is that the story has been stretched to sell a specific idea to the public. And to support this counter-narrative, the source analysis offers up several pieces of evidence, which you can see right here. It points to things like childhood photos of him in suits, a statement from his own brother clarifying he was the son of a tea seller, not a seller himself, and other claims that he was actually a canteen contractor. The video also raises questions about whether his childhood home really fits the story of extreme poverty for that time period. All right, let's shift gears to the second big theme the source looks at. This portrayal of a leader as an ascetic, someone who has given up all personal ties for the good of the country. And that's the core message of the whole ascetic image, right? A claim of total personal sacrifice. The video argues this narrative is meant to elevate the leader above the messy details of ordinary life, suggesting he has this one single focus, his duty to the nation. So then, the analysis puts that claim of leaving everything right next to his documented public appearances. This slide really shows the source's point perfectly, contrasting his attendance at these huge, high-profile celebrity and oligarch family events with reports from his own relatives, including a niece, who say they weren't invited to official ceremonies and are told to keep their distance. Now for the third selling point that the source video breaks down. This is the image of the leader as a fakir, a kind of holy beggar or ascetic who has no worldly possessions and could just walk away with nothing at a moment's notice. And here we go again with another really stark contrast. On one hand, you have the self-proclaimed identity of a fakir, but on the other, the video presents evidence of what it calls a pretty high-end lifestyle, pointing to specific things like very expensive sunglasses and a multi-million rupee high-security vehicle. The source analysis goes even deeper with its argument by highlighting other things it sees as inconsistencies. As you can see here, it brings up reports of frequent outfit changes, it asks questions about how foreign travel in the 90s was paid for, and it flags a claim about using a digital camera way back in 1987, which it says was before they were even sold to the public. So, here's the big question. How does the analysis claim all these different stories, the poor tea seller, the ascetic, the holy beggar, get woven together? Well, it argues they're all part of a very deliberate strategy to build a larger-than-life, almost superhero-like persona. The source video pretty much boils it all down to this three-step strategy you see on the screen. Step 1 is to deify, basically elevate the leader to a divine or almost divine status. Step 2 is to diminish, paint all your political opponents as weak, incompetent, or foolish. And step 3 is to dominate, just maintain a constant, unavoidable presence in the media. And to back up that first point about deification, the source video just rolls out a bunch of direct quotes. The analysis highlights these kinds of statements, calling him God's gift, and it also points to the existence of actual temples built in his name, as evidence of a real effort to elevate the leader in the public mind. And for that third point, domination through media presence, the analysis puts a really big number on it. It cites a 2022 ministry report saying the government spent this amount, over 64 billion rupees on advertising over just 8 years. That's the kind of spending that ensures the leader's face and message are, well, everywhere. So after laying out how this whole image was supposedly built, the source analysis ends with a really critical question. Is this carefully constructed persona starting to lose its power? Is the magic fading? The video presents these 3 points as possible cracks in the facade. It brings up public questions about unresolved conflicts, a record number of citizens giving up their nationality, and the political need to bring in opponents who were previously accused of corruption. All of these, the source claims, are signs that the leader's name alone might not be enough anymore.
So in the end, the analysis we just walked through frames modern politics as a battle of stories, a battle of narratives. It argues that a whole political movement has been built on a specific, carefully crafted story. And it leaves us with this final, really important question. What happens to that power when people start to question the story itself?